Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a very long time since I was on. I believe the last video I put out was a pregnancy update, and I shared about how bad I was feeling and how hard this pregnancy really was on me. So I didn't have the energy to film and put up videos, so I just stopped it for a little while. Well, I'm not pregnant anymore. Our baby was born September 23rd at 10:42 in the morning. She was 8 pounds, 4 ounces. Beautiful, healthy little girl. She's finally here. I'm so happy. And I feel so much better not being pregnant. Like, it's such a relief. So it's been about 3 weeks and 2 days now. And this week my husband did go back to work, so it's a little bit more chaotic without him here. Definitely very busy. Sammy has been teething and he is pretty fussy a lot, although lately he's been doing a little bit better, but he also reacted differently. I thought he'd be like super jealous and try to push her away and stuff when she was in my arms, but he actually really loves her. It's the cutest thing ever. He always wants to kiss her and puts his head on her head or on her chest and like tries to hug her, and it's just adorable. But he also does feel that he's getting less attention, so he's getting more demanding. Like, if we don't give him what he wants, he's gonna like throw a fit or something. He's going to start screaming and stuff. So we're also really working on obedience with him because he is pretty disobedient. Toddlers are pretty strong-willed, and he is definitely starting to show that now. So we are working on some training with him. As far as my postpartum update, I've been feeling so much better. Definitely enjoying our little girl. It does get stressful when her tummy hurts. Her tummy has been hurting a lot, and I tried to figure out what it is, and a friend of mine told me that apparently chocolate makes their tummies hurt a lot. And I'm a big chocolate eater. I was eating a lot of chocolate, so that's the first thing I cut out, and I did notice a significant difference. She's sleeping really good at night. She would sleep for like 2 to 3 hours before she wakes up to nurse, and then she goes right back to sleep most of the time. Sometimes she just lays awake, and I don't know why. Like, she's just looking around, not crying or anything, but that's a little bit stressful for me too, because trying to get in as much sleep as possible before I have to get up around 7:30 in the morning and prepare breakfast and lunch for my husband and stuff like that. But she's a pretty good sleeper. As far as my labor and delivery story, I'll share it in this video as well. So I had a surprisingly quick, pretty easy delivery, I'd say. So I was already past my due date. She was born at 40 weeks and 6 days, I believe. The day before would be 41 weeks. And my doctor had already started talking about scheduling an induction if she wasn't gonna come by 42 weeks. And I started doing research, and I looked into the medical induction, and immediately I thought, there's no way I'm gonna get induced. Like, I'm just gonna pray so hard that my labor begins naturally. I do not want to get induced because with medical induction, basically they hook you up to an IV and they start some Pitocin on you, and it basically starts creating artificial contractions in your body. And because those contractions are artificial, I think what happens is your brain doesn't send the signal to create endorphins, which are a natural pain reliever, and they kind of help your uterus take a little break before the next contraction hits. When they put you on Pitocin, your uterus does not get that much of a break, and a lot of people say that it's like basically one contraction on top of the other. The contraction is lasting for like a minute and a half, and the uterus gets only like a couple of seconds of break or something like that. And basically that creates stress for the baby, because the uterus is pushing on the baby, and the baby can get distressed, which can lead to lack of oxygen, and that would lead to an emergency C-section. And also, this is like the main reason why people get epidurals, because contractions with Pitocin are extremely painful. So I decided, no way, I'm not getting induced. I'm just going to pray so hard. And some people recommended to me to go walking. So the day before she was born, I took my sister to the mall. We went to the mall because it's way too hot to walk outside here this time of year, and we basically just walked circles and circles. Obviously we did some shopping, like how can you not shop when you go to the mall, but we were walking circles, and I think that was like about 4 to 5 hours, and I was so exhausted by the time I got home. And at night I really felt my legs hurting, and I remember telling my husband, I'm like, if this is not gonna work, then I just give up. Like I don't know what else to do. Like my legs really hurt from walking that much. So I did that walking, like we were just praying to God that we would start labor naturally, so that none of that medical stuff was necessary. And the whole night, that night, I felt like really weird. I was asleep, but I still felt like it was cramps, but something felt different. And sure enough, at 6 in the morning, I went into labor, labored at home for a little bit, and I really felt bad this time around. Like I had to sit by the toilet. I felt very nauseous and dizzy, and it was just really horrible. And I remember thinking, if we get to the hospital and I'm only 5 centimeters dilated, I'm gonna get an epidural. I was naturally planning to not go for an epidural. That's how I did with my first, and it was pretty bearable. But this time around, it just seemed so much more painful and harder. But this labor for me was a whole lot shorter. So like I said, I went into labor at 6 in the morning, and by 10:42 in the morning, she was born. So at 10 we got to the hospital. At 10:10 we got to the hospital. The hospital was a 40-minute drive, and I was so scared my water was gonna break in the car because I felt so much pressure. And with my first, when my water broke, he came out like 30 minutes later. I called ahead of time while we were driving, and they were expecting me already. The awesome thing about the hospital is that they're small, and they weren't that busy at that time. And so they got me on a wheelchair, they rolled us in, gave us a room right away. Like there was no triage or anything. They asked me if this is my first baby. I said no, it's my second. They're like, oh okay. It's like they were expecting it to be a fast delivery. And she checked me, and I was 10 centimeters. And my husband said I had this like shocked look on my face. And I really did not expect that. I thought it was gonna be like a 5 or a 6, because with my first, when we went in, I was a 5. And yeah, she's like, you can have a baby like right now. Just like do what your body tells you. Like do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, like let's do this, I guess. We were naturally also planning for a water birth, but because I was ready to have a baby right there, I just said, like, that's okay, never mind. If she's gonna come out soon, like, it's fine. So at 10:10 we got to the hospital, and at 10:42 she was born. Healthy little girl. Also on our way to the hospital, I knew that I was in transition, which was so scary to me. That's why I was afraid my water is gonna break in the car, because it's exactly the same way I felt when I was in transition with Sammy before he was born. And yeah, those stories that you hear about babies being born in the car, that was like such a great fear of mine, because I was in transition while we were driving to the hospital. It was insane. Yeah, I was so thankful that there was no medical intervention at all. There was no IV stuck to my arm, which I absolutely hate. That was like my #1 thing. I did not want IVs in my arm. And there was no epidural, so it was awesome. But it was more painful this time around. It was definitely quicker, but it was more painful. But I'm so thankful to God that it all began naturally. that he's been with us through this whole road and that we have a beautiful, healthy girl, that the recovery process is absolutely great. And I had no tears at all this time around. She said just a couple of scratches. The cramps, however, were pretty painful after delivery. They say that with each child it gets more and more painful, and I definitely felt it with this baby. I did not have much cramps with my first baby. I don't remember being in pain, but this I was in pain for at least 5 days before it started going away. It's all gone now. I'm so happy. We are also exclusively breastfeeding, and that's going great. So I think that's all the update I have for you guys. Sorry I haven't been on at all the past couple of months. Like, we had it really hard. But I am so excited to be back. I'm so excited to do more videos, and hopefully all goes well. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!